Okay, so in this video, I will be blocking out the Sukhoi 57, and in this case, I already lined up the images already so that they are in the correct view. Front view for front reference, right view for right reference, and the top view for the top reference. I think the right view, I think I need to bring this down slightly some more. Let me just center the pivot for this one. Yeah, I want the jet intakes to be lined up with the main line here. Okay, so now I will lock up my references, add them in its own layer, call these REF for reference, save, and then lock them so that I don't accidentally select them. Now, so let's study the shape of the Sukhoi 57. So I have my BREF set up. Okay, so I got a few pictures just to start off with the blocking first. So by studying the actual aircraft itself, you can see that it starts off with a nose cone wedge shape, then it pans out, it sort of like melts out into this two jet exhausts over here. Now the unique shape about this, which is not really shown here in the drawing here, is that if you look at the actual photograph of the top airplane, you can see that there is a angle in which the jet exhaust is coming out. So if we look at the underneath here, you can see that this portion here is quite straight, but then the input where the air is going into the jet intake, you can see the shape here is rather unique, and the bottom part here is quite flat, and then it connects to this the jet exhaust. So I'm gonna maybe start off with the jet intakes first. Okay, we know that this is a square shape when viewed from the front. Okay, a diamond shape like that. So we're going to use the create polygon tool to create one shape from the front view. So I'm going to use the shift right mouse click, use the create polygon tool, and I'll just create the exhaust. Okay, then there's a slight curve here. I'm going to model that in. And then press enter. So this is like the cross section of the diamond. And then if we look at the bottom here again, looking at the reference, you can see that it actually pulls back quite a bit here. So we don't have the bottom reference set up, so I will probably put that in later. But let's take a look at the reference picture. So we know that the outer edge, right, is pushed backwards. So what I'm going to do is I'll select these edges here, these vertices, and then I'll go to the right view and then push them back. And actually we can see from the reference over here, so these vertices should be pushed back and should be lined up against here. So I'm going to go to object mode, select the exhaust, and this is where it starts. These vertices here should start about here, and then the rest of the vertices should line up in a straight line like that, and then this corner here should be pushed back like that. Okay, let's take a look at what it looks like in 3D space. So that is the beginning of our exhaust. So I'm going to select this face here, and then holding down the shift and then extrude. Alright. It seems that the faces are flipped, so I'm going to go to display, mesh display, and then just reverse this. And I don't need this front face anymore, so this one will be like the jet intake. Alright. So this is roughly the shape that I want right now. So right now I'm just straightening this a bit. Okay, so these row of vertices here, I can double click to select the open edge, and I'll use the scale tool to flatten them. Okay, actually there's another edge, another face over here, which I can delete this. I don't need this face. What I wanted to do is to select here and flatten it first. Now go over to the right view. Then I can continue to pull this out until it reaches to this section. This is where it starts to become a cylindrical shape, where it ends up at the jet exhaust. So I'm going to pull this back a little bit more. maybe right about here. Okay, and then I'm going to use the circularize tool to help me to rearrange all of this into a circle. Okay, and at this stage, right, I'm not sure that this is actually the right way to go about it, because if I look at the reference, you can see that it is quite flat, and then once it reaches to this point, then it becomes circular. So perhaps from here to here, I want to keep it relatively squarish shape first. So let me undo that before I do I'm just going to insert one edge loop right about here, right, so that later I can control the shape of the transition. And you can see over here the front part is tilted towards, and then at this portion here, I'm not sure where exactly that portion is, but it is flattened. So I will want to select, I would guess, this entire row of faces here. Right, this row of faces here, and then I'll just use rotate to straighten it. Let's go to the front view and see how much I can straighten this. And there seems to be a slight tilt towards the area there as well. Okay. And also, it seems that the bottom here is much wider, so I'm going to pull it down a bit. Maybe I add one more edge loop here. And pull this down a little bit like that. Okay, so now I'm more confident of pulling this all the way here and circularize it here. So I'll select this open edge, apply a circularize, and scale this down slightly. Let's go to the right view now, and we can start from here, and then we can extrude all the way here, then extrude again. Okay, probably around this area here I might need to increase the shape later on, but just gonna scale this up slightly, push this up here, and use the move and shift and drag to extrude to create one of the exhausts. All right. Okay, I think this one works for me. And let's see what does the top view looks like. Okay, the engine is definitely much wider, so I will definitely select this edge loop here and scale it up a little bit more. Same for this section here for the top view. Seems that there's a little bit of offset. There's a push to the left or right here. Okay, let me undo that. I want to grab both of these, push it here, and scale it uniformly until we reach something like this. Okay, good. Right, so we have one of the engines done. So now let's take a look at the cockpit. Okay, because this aircraft is sort of like a stealth jet plane, so it's a bit angular in shape. So if you take a look at the reference, you can see that the bottom part here is relatively flat, so it will make the modeling of this cockpit here quite simple. Okay, so we can start off with a cube, okay, and then we'll gradually add more resolution, right, in order to create this particular shape. So let's start by creating a cube. Okay, let me exit from this engine exhaust. Let me just rename this, call this the engine jet intake, then exhaust. Okay, I'm going to create a cube right about here. Maybe I'll just create one cube and then put it into place right about here. Okay, and then let's see. Yeah, right in the center there. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to scale this cube up. Okay, now in component mode, and I'm going to apply a new material, new Lambert material, and let's give it a slight cyan color with transparency. I'll call this my model material. Okay, I prefer to use this over the X-ray. Okay, and I'll turn on wireframe unshaded. Okay, so it makes it a little bit easy for me. So what I'm going to do is, like, from this simple cube, right, I want to add off enough subdivision so that I can shape the cockpit area. So maybe I'll add one edge loop around here first, and maybe one here for the time being. And then just put this in front, this one over here, add one edge loop over here, okay, so the cone here is going to be a bit tricky because we need to extract out a circular shape and then we can extrude out. So I'm going to just terminate it here first, terminate the cross section here first, and I'll try to follow the cockpit shape as much as I can first for the side view. Let's go over to the top view. Okay, and I'm going to turn on symmetry. Okay, so we got this basic shape. Then what about my front view? And the bottom view like that. Okay, I think this one looks good. Okay, so now for the front nose section, I think it would be a good idea to insert one edge loop that runs across in the center here for this particular aircraft. I need to turn off my symmetry for the time being. Control Shift right mouse click to bring up the menu, then use multi-cut, middle mouse click to cut the center. Alright, then select the four faces here, Shift right mouse click, extrude. I think before I extrude, I should have applied a circularize tool, which is over here. Make it nice and circle, and then remember to rotate until it's nice and flat, like that. And then extrude out and flatten it using scale, and use R again to scale this down. Okay, I can scale this down a little bit. Okay, this one is the nose cone area. I think we will just manually flatten this and then scale it down. Okay, cool. Now we have our nose cone more or less done. I'm going to insert one edge loop right about here so that I can increase the scale a little bit. Same for this section here. Okay, let me turn the symmetry back on. Okay, now we have roughly the cross section done for the root of the aircraft. So right now we just have to continue to extrude out. We just want to keep it simple first. So I'm just going to extrude one straight section all the way out to the center here. And then scale this down and then bring this downwards. We're going to insert one more edge loop right about here so that I can capture the shape for the cockpit around here. Let's go to the top view and then make sure that our center section is tapered in. To match the cross section of the aircraft, which is okay, looking good. And we can see here the wing is formed from this section here. So again, stealing another glance at our reference, we are basically modeled this section over here. You can see that this part here is sort of like melded over the surface, and then this part here is relatively straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm trying to recreate this triangular shape on my 3D layout first. So the top part here, let's see. Okay, maybe I insert one edge loop over here. Now this part here is very interesting because this fin actually moves up and down. It's like an extended canard. Right, so I'm going to insert one edge loop here. And grab these vertices and scale it out. Okay, my symmetry is on. I'm going to turn it off. Just pull it out slightly like that. Okay, seems like the engine exhaust, right, rises up all the way here. So I'm going to switch back to the engine again, and then I'm going to grab this section here and then perhaps pull it up. Okay, so this is where the engine is exposed. We know that the engine comes out quite a bit right about here in the midsection of the wing here. Right, so I'm going to make that a bit prominent. Okay, so right about there. So I think these sections here will need to be rearranged, or at least circularized to make it rounder, which I think I might try to do that right now. Let's see. It means this entire section. I think I'll revisit this later, but okay, we definitely need to pull out the wing from this section now so that it matches this section there. Okay, I can see that there's a curved section here. Yeah, so this part is really the engine here. The engine does come all the way to this section here. So let's see, that means this edge here will have to be circularized on top at least. So I will grab these vertices, go to the front, and go to the front view, and then try to move these up. Okay, maybe not this one, but like that. Yeah. I'm trying to keep the number of segments down for now. Okay, so now for the wing, I'm probably going to pull it from this side here. That means at this stage here, I'll have to add in a couple more subdivisions. So I will insert an edge loop. Now before I do that, I'm going to enable the edge flow and see whether that helps to puff up the sides a little bit. So I'm going to middle mouse click here. Okay, so it pulls out a little bit too much, but we can fix that. Okay, we can fix that for this edge over here. And turn on symmetry. And let's go to the front view. And with the edge selected, we're just going to push it back down like that. Okay, the rest, I'll just push this down here, and then the top of the cockpit just round like that. Okay, so now we should have enough faces to pull out the wing. So the wing should come out around these faces here, I would say. This is where I'll pull out the wing section. So this part here is quite a huge chunk. I'll say that the wing will come out from here. Okay, and then continue. We'll stop at this area, and then we'll crank it out another small section. So what I can do is definitely not this section here. So let me just insert one edge loop right about here. This is where Okay, I need to turn off my edge flow. Let me turn off the symmetry. So this was causing problems with my edge loop. So I need to cut one edge loop right about here. Okay, good. Okay, now I'll figure out where I want to pull out the wings. So the wings should come out from these faces. Yep. And let's see from the top. Yep, correct. So I will pull the wings from these two sides here. So first I'll extrude, Control E to extrude, then I will do a offset inwards slightly. Alright, and then press W and pull it out ever so slightly, and then let me just reshape this a little bit because we want this to be very sharp here. Right, and slide this up. It's like these four faces here. This is where we'll form the wing section. Then holding down the shift, we're going to extrude out the entire section. It's going to cut through the jet, but that is fine. I mean the jet engine. And using scale, we're going to flatten this and flatten it downwards like that. Okay, let's go and look at the top. And so far it looks about okay. So I just need to extrude out right about here. And then the vertices of these group, I'm just going to push it back until it follows the crank shape like that. Right, now selecting the same four faces, not a lot, and making sure that these are quite sharp at the behind here. Okay, so it seems like I need to rearrange some of the faces around the back here. It seems that it's overlapping each other. Let's see, like that. Okay, we seem to have some overlapping because of the I'm going to fix this part here. The overlapping is probably caused by the offset early on when we extrude. So we're going to put this like that. Okay, so we fixed that. We're coming back here. We're going to select the four faces. Okay, the faces are still selected. I'm going to switch back to face mode. Okay, then now we go to the top view. And we can basically extrude another small section for this portion here. So this part here is very tricky. This entire elevator plane, I believe, is cutting through the wing. So let me verify by looking at the reference. Yeah, it's actually pretty close. The notched side, right? Yeah, right over here. So you can see right at the bottom here, there is a parallel piece that come out like that, and then it is notched against the wing. So okay, now knowing that we know about this from the picture here, we can extrude out basically all the way to this section. So with the faces selected, I'm going to extrude out until it reaches to this cranked area, and then again select these group of vertices and push it back until it forms the root of the wing. Now we know that there's a gap. Okay, let's look at the picture again. Look, there is a slight, very tiny gap. Okay, so it's very close. Okay, so that means the wing is basically coming out from this angle. So what I will do is I will have to model the wing separately. Yeah, I want it to be flush against this, but I will be using this shape as the reference to model the wing. So what I can do is I can duplicate the entire piece here. Okay, actually right now I only extruded one half of the wing, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete away half of this shape here and duplicate special, edit duplicate special, instance, reset instance in the -1 in the x-axis and duplicate. Alright, so So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift D, or actually duplicate this cone here, and I'm going to grab these 4 faces at the end, select inverse, and delete them away. So this will be the basis for my wing, right? So I want to make it very streamlined. There's only 4 faces. Okay, and well, actually right now let me just center the pivot. Okay, and let's go to the top view. So the wing actually comes up from here. So I'm going to scale this. Okay, and it's a bit hard to see because it's a thin line here. Yeah, so we're going to extrude the wing out, and it's going to be flushed against this tail plane. Okay, I'm going to put the front until it sort of matches this section here. Yeah. Let's go to the top view and see. Okay, so now I can extrude this out. Let's go to the face and select all the faces. Then I'm going to extrude out the wing. Let's go to the top view and see. Continue to extrude until... Okay, again there's another slight crank over here, so I will scale this down. Uniform scale, so that means there's going to be a taper. Okay, while the face is still selected. Okay, and I'll hold down the shift, and then I'll extrude out another section. And then this time I'll just use normal scale, or rather non-uniform scale along the z-axis. I'm going to grab the tail vertices here, and well, actually I can leave this here. I will insert one edge here and grab my vertices and push it back. So now I have my wing done for one side. Okay, so this wing, I'm going to duplicate it over to the other side, but in order for it to work with duplicate special, I need to shift the center over to the grid center. So press D to move the center, holding down to X, grab the center and drag it until it snaps to the center. Press D to get out of pivot editing mode. Select the wing, edit, duplicate special, and then we have the other wing created. I'm going to do the same for the engine, edit, duplicate special, so that we have 2 engines. Right, so you can see that we have blocked out the engines, we have blocked out the basically the central part of the wing shape. Okay, we can see that the wing actually tends to be at the much lower, so we're going to select both of the wings here, and then I'm just going to lower it down. Okay, and also it seems that there's an anhedral. That means that there's a angle that is pointing downwards for the wing, so we're going to put that in. Then for the main structure here, I'm going to grab these group of vertices, and I'm just going to slide them down so that it matches the reference that we have over here. Okay, so now I'm just going to create a bunch of simpler shapes, right, to act for the vertical stabilizer. Remember, the vertical stabilizer is also crooked to one side. So for the vertical stabilizer, I don't need to model it too complex. I'll just start with a cube again. Okay, this will be the okay, let's start maybe the horizontal stabilizer. So all you need to do is just insert one edge loop here, edge loop here. That's good enough. And then scale all of these in vertex mode. And double click to select this loop, push it forward, select the front row of vertices here and scale it down so that we have this aerodynamic shape which is everywhere in aircraft. Okay, and then basically this shape, right, we can create our tail fin. So let's go to the top view. Okay, and position it into place. I believe. Okay, the tail fin is cranked. So let me just model the front section first. So again, I'm going to assign it with the modeling material. Then go over to vertex, and we can push this all the way back here. Push this all the way here. And this goes forward here. Goes all the way back here. Okay, because we know that this piece here is pivoting along the edge here, so I'm going to insert one edge loop that ends over here. Then we can grab these faces over here, and oh sorry, not this, is the tail section here. This section here, yes. Can extrude it to follow all the way here, and then this group of vertex should follow around. So this is just a rough shape first, like that. Okay, let's take a look at the finished fin. So the fin looks very thin. I'm gonna just scale it up a little bit more to give it a bit of thickness. Okay, and then this is my blocked tail fin. Using the same technique, press D and then holding down to X. And press D again to get out X to pivot point manipulation rather. Then edit duplicate special. We have the other tail fin done. Okay, so now we need to have our horizontal or vertical stabilizer. Okay, I'm creating another cube. This will be my vertical stabilizer. So same thing, it's very easy to create the aerodynamic cross section. So this one we'll do it vertically. So same thing, we just use a multi-cut here, and maybe one more right about here. Yes. Then we're gonna move these edge loops forward. Grab all the vertices here and then squeeze it down. And there you have the aerodynamic cross section. That if you press number 3, it should give you a nice aerodynamic shape. Okay, so for the vertical stabilizer, we need to have a supporting edge loop here, and it's basically just a triangular wedge. We're going to add one more edge loop right close to the edge here, so we're going to maintain the shape if you subdivide it. So I'm going to scale this down so that we have a taper, slight taper, to make it thinner some more. And the bottom part here you can see is wider, and we can just pull it out wider like that. This one, push it back a bit. Okay, I'm going to assign a modeling material, and then we're going to go to the right view and just scale this up until it matches the correct size. Okay, but because this is rotated, so it should be slightly taller. Let me just go front and make sure that the vertical stabilizer is in correct position. And because this whole entire piece is rotatable, so if you take a look at the reference image, the entire tail fin is rotates. Yeah, you can see over here like that. So eventually we have to build a base here for it. So right now I will just use this as the base, and I'll just scale this wider here, and then put this one close to here, and then we just want to follow the same thickness as the aircraft itself. And then this one right now we will just drag it and place it over here like that. Okay, well, eventually if you want to rotate this, you can just cut this and model that as a separate piece. So I'll go over to the right view, and we will adjust the shape so that it matches the reference. Okay, so essentially I did most of the blocking already. The only thing that I will not be doing for this demo is the adding of details, so that will take another several hours to do, but right now I'll just try to get the blocking in as much as I can. Okay, good. The tail fin, this section is done. I will now shift the center, holding down the X and put it in the center here, press D to get out, and then apply a duplicate special, edit duplicate special with the scale -1 in X instance. And now my blocking is complete. Right, so I got a basic shape of the Sukhoi 57, and I should be able to continue to work on this further. So let me just temporarily change everything back to the Lambert 1 material, so that I can see the general shape of the aircraft. Okay, so you can see the proportions, everything is correct. Okay, there are some parts I still need to fix and adjust, but this is only the blocking stage. Okay. Okay, let me just hide the reference so that we can see everything a little bit better. Yeah, I think we are quite close. Okay, so this is a good starting point to gradually add and refine the model. All right.